Hello. Today I just wanted to share a couple of raw thoughts about how to forge, how to live well with diabetes, how to forge a strategy, a life strategy really about diabetes, type 1 diabetes that allows you to live as if diabetes was not a problem, because in fact, in my opinion, the diabetes is not a problem. Diabetes is not an obstacle. Diabetes is not a curse. It is one of the best things probably that happened to me, because of many reasons. It helped me develop awareness about what I eat, what I do, and allow me to really dive deep into how what are the levers that I should pull, that I should orchestrate in order to live at my best. And in my opinion, everyone with type 1 diabetes or any other similar condition can live well and actually thrive. And I've been diabetic for the past 10 years, a little bit more now at the time of recording this video in 2023. And in these 10 years I've made a lot of mistakes, for sure. I was one that in the first years I was constantly experiencing the infamous up and downs of blood glucose. I was living a little bit randomly, not really aware of what I was eating, how much insulin would I need. I was just enjoying life, and then being frustrated because I wanted to study and I was in a hypoglycemia. Then I wanted to go for a run or to exercise or go out with my friends, but my blood glucose was all over the place, and of course all of that was screwing how I was experiencing my life in general, because when you are in that condition you cannot really do anything. You always have this thought that at some point it's gonna hit and there is nothing you can do about it. This is inevitable. This is life with diabetes. It sucks. And well, after a couple of years of mental battle with myself, I understood that it is not. Life with diabetes is absolutely not. It doesn't have to be a struggle, but rather the opposite. So, what did I learn? First, there is a hard truth that someone with diabetes has to kind of deal with, and that is you have to do the math. Diabetes is not a random game. Diabetes is not something that you manage, you handle intuitively, or maybe yes at some point, but with experience. You have to do the math. You have to log how much you are eating, how much carbohydrates, how much grams of carbohydrate you're eating. You have to then calculate how much insulin it's required. It's handling that amount of carbohydrate, and calculate your ratio, see how the blood glucose goes, and then adjust on the meal after. And it's a constant iteration on this process. You log your carbs, you take your insulin, you compute the ratio, and you apply that ratio to the meal after. And of course, you don't have to log every time everything that you're eating. That is why, for example, I like to standardize my meals. I like them to be kind of regular in the type of carbohydrate that I eat, be it fruit. I eat a lot of fruit, but also other stuff. But I'm always trying to make sure that it's the same type and a similar amount. So there is, I already know basically by experience how much I'm eating and how much insulin do I need for that. So the first hard truth to accept is to do the math. At the beginning, it might seem like a tedious process, but with time, it really becomes like a quick automation that requires max a couple of minutes a day. So this is the first one. Then, of course, in order to live with this for the rest of your life, doing the math every day, at every meal for the rest of your life, you have to have a system in place, a system that is eliminating any obstacle, any attrition, that is making it easy for you to log your food, to track your insulin and all of that. For example, I use a small spreadsheet on my phone, so I don't have to pull out, pen and paper all the time, or like a computer, or be there with a calculator all the time. I just have like a spreadsheet. I have a column for my insulin need, a column for my carb to insulin ratio of the previous meal, a column for the grams of carbohydrates that I'm about to eat. I just plug in the numbers and I automatically have my ratio and my needed amount of insulin for that particular meal. So you really want to develop a system, pick a mobile app that allows you to plug in the numbers, tracking the calories, tracking the amount of carbohydrates, etc. By each type of food. You have like apps such as Chronometer or LifeSum or MyFitnessPal. All of those will work and will give you the information that you need to navigate smoothly through this process. Then you also have to get to know, and this really comes with time, what are the levers to pull, using the 80-20 principle, without getting lost into the nitty-gritty, into the details of, I must eat that or, not this other. But, these are details. But if you really are able to see through the curtain and understand that there are some bigger levers that will really make a difference, a substantial difference in the way you are able to manage type 1 diabetes. Those are, for me, not for me, for any human being, sleep first. Sleep is absolutely essential, absolutely critical. In my experience, a good night of sleep is really what makes the difference between a great day of blood sugar management and insulin sensitivity and an absolute disaster of the day. So the difference that a good night of sleep can make in terms of diabetes management is like night and day. No story there, like period, end of story. So sleep is the first. I am quite religious about sleep, and when people ask me, why do you always go to sleep early, and can you just sleep less strict? I'm like, okay, every once in a while maybe I will do an exception, but it's really like a health choice that I'm making here, because I know that if I sleep poorly, then the day after, and maybe even a couple of days, I will have to deal with the consequences of that in terms of up and downs, in terms of continuous injections and corrections to my insulin dosages, and that is not pleasant, because you're not in control. You are trying to chase the beast instead of taming it. The second one is exercise. Exercise is absolutely, again, sleep, exercise, and nutrition. These are the three. So sleep, we already spoke about. Exercise, you have to put some physical activities of some sort in your day. It doesn't have to be like 1 hour at the gym, or going for a run every morning or every evening. But it can be as little as what I like to call a fitness snack that is much more accessible. What do I mean by that? Is every hour, every regular intervals, more or less, you just put in 5-10 minutes of whatever. You go up and down the stairs, you do some lunges, you do a couple of push-ups. You just keep your body active, and if you do that regularly, 2-3 minutes here, 2-3 minutes there, all throughout the day, then you get to the end of the day that you have you did a substantial amount of physical activity, even if you didn't have time to go to the gym. That can be hard at times. But what is even more important is to get into the habit of doing something physical, maybe like a walk or going up and down the stairs. I like to do that after a meal. Why? Because that will help you regulate the possible surge in blood glucose. If you, after a meal, help your body digest and deal with the carbohydrate intake of the meal by just commuting a little bit, doing some walking here and there, that will help. That will really make a difference. And that will also keep you active. Again, you are keeping your body in motion, and keeping your body in motion in the long term will just make you more insulin sensitive. So your body will be much more efficient at using the insulin that you are injecting. It will be much more sensitive, so you will need less, and with less you will be able to eat more carbohydrates, so more energy, and just be more energetic. So that has a series of trickle-down effects, cascade effects that will just improve your overall well-being. The third one is nutrition. Of course, you have to fuel properly. I am plant-based. You don't have to be. I just find that a whole food plant-based diet that is rich in carbohydrates, whole carbohydrates like fruit, legumes, of course vegetables, but all the grains, whole grains I'm referring to here, that is what really makes the difference in terms of your overall energy and how good you feel, how you will feel able to chase your tasks and get them done, stay active, have the energy to work, to study, to go for a run, and all of that while keeping your blood glucose in range. That is critical, because when you eat some very highly processed carbohydrate or highly processed food, there will be a spike in blood glucose. So you will feel maybe pumped at the beginning, but then you will have a crash because the insulin will try to handle that surge very violently, and very violently you will see your blood glucose crash. And when you crash, then you have a slump, or even worse, you go into hypoglycemia. And this living in the midst of this roller coaster is really what makes life miserable. So if you are able to stay in range, and you stay in range by eating the right food, eating food that promotes insulin sensitivity instead of insulin resistance, and that allows you to stay fueled long term without spikes, but with a constant slow rise that keeps you in the sweet spot between 100 and 150. That is what where nutrition really makes a difference. And another tip that I recently introduced in my diabetes management is if I'm eating a large meal. Sometimes I come back from I'm preparing for a marathon at the moment. I come back from a big day of training, a long run, maybe 2-3 hours on my legs. I need to refuel. I know I need to eat a certain amount, but I do not do the mistake I used to do in the past of just eating everything in one go, and then dealing with the consequences, which is a big surge in blood glucose, of course, because when you eat a large portion of whatever meal, whatever food, in just one sitting, and maybe even quickly, then it's just inevitable. So how do I deal with this? I usually take my meal, divide it in half. I eat one half in, let's say, 10-15 minutes. So I chew slowly, I let it digest properly. Then I finish the first half. I wait like 5-10 minutes, and then I eat the second half. Of course, when I have more time, for example, in the weekend, that's great. During the work day, I just find some escamotage, some workaround in order to not eat everything all at once. But I just eat smaller amounts, but all throughout maybe an hour. I take my hour lunch break, and I just eat constantly during that hour instead of eating everything like in 10 minutes and then spending the rest of the hour dealing with the with the increasing blood glucose in the spike. So that is a little tip that is helping me. And then of course, when you have dealt with sleep, with exercise, with nutrition, and you are logging your stuff, and you are seeing what types of food have certain effects, how are they affecting not only your blood glucose but your feeling, how you feel in general during the day, then you start to gain confidence, because you see that you are in control. You're not controlled by diabetes, but you are the one, dictating the agenda. You are the one deciding how much insulin, how much carbohydrate, how much of this and that. And maybe at the beginning it can be a little bit, it can feel a little bit like an automation that you need to force into your schedule, but then it just becomes second nature. And then you just roll with it. It's part of your day. You barely think about it, but all of a sudden you find yourself capable of doing stuff that maybe you were not doing before. For me, I started running a lot, exercising a lot, and this is something that at the beginning of my diabetes, of my experience with diabetes, I was not confident at all, because I was scared of going low and scared of for my life essentially. But then once I understood how to fuel, how to stay in range, once I was seeing that my blood glucose levels were smooth, were in range, were constant, I could handle them properly. If I saw low that it was decreasing, maybe I knew what to eat and how much to keep it there, and maybe on a even with some kind of a safety margin. Then I started to really gain confidence, and I've been running my marathon prep for 6 to 7 months now, running 4 times a week on average, and I never had a problem. I could complete all my runs, no exception, without any problem, without ever being interrupted by a hypoglycemia, and most importantly, staying in range. Of course, there are moments where you go higher. Maybe you wake up with a higher blood glucose, and the run doesn't really bring it down, and there are many other factors. Maybe that's a topic for another video. There are many other factors to consider when it comes to handling up and downs. But what I'm trying to say here is that you can become a scientist, what I like to call a scientist of yourself. You really start to plug in the numbers, see how your body reacts to this, to that, and then it's as I said at the beginning, it's an iteration on this process. And so you start to do more of what makes you feel good, and do less of what is not conducive to success. So by experience, through experience and some discipline, because you need that, at least at the beginning, then it becomes an automation. But with these two, you can really develop an awareness that is much superior to even the average person without type 1 diabetes. That is why I consider diabetes as one of my greatest blessings, because it allowed me to start develop a body awareness, a systemic awareness about myself that I didn't have before. It forced me to understand what types of food promote my health, how eating a certain way rather than another helps me stay active physically and safely, most importantly. And once you start to get the hang of it and roll with it and seeing that it works, that you're able to work efficiently at the job or study efficiently if you're a student, that you can run long distances and enjoying otherwise whatever else you like to do as a physical activity, going to the gym. You can do that with confidence, knowing that your body, your organism will support you because you are in control of the process. Then of course there are many other factors that come into play, but if you nail these three, so good sleep, constant exercise and a good nutrition, which for me is whole food, plant-based, rich in carbohydrates, low in fat. But you know, for some other can be someone else. I'm not here to do the food police, but if you nail these three and you really start to develop the discipline needed to continue down this path, then, as I said, it will become second nature. You will get to know yourself so well. You will gain so much confidence, so much self-confidence, that you will be unstoppable, and you will live as if diabetes was not even there, but it will be there and it's your best friend. So that is my experience. That is how I'm preparing for my first marathon. I will keep you posted. I will keep you updated on that, of course. I'm enjoying the process so far. And yeah, these are some of the tips that I felt like sharing. For sure, I will be sharing more in upcoming videos in the same form, like a raw talk, like this one. But you know, I think it's important to put it out there because there are many people with diabetes that maybe don't have the right inputs, don't know that, you know, you can do this stuff, hard stuff, challenging stuff physically or mentally with diabetes. You don't have to be enslaved by the condition. It's a blessing that you have. And if you can see it that way, then you can really develop a superior awareness about yourself and, you know, go chase whatever you want to do in life. So once again, farewell from Giovanni here, type 1 diabetic, going to run a marathon. And I hope to see you in a marathon too. Maybe one day, why not? That would be amazing. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.